What's up, guys? We're here at AMC Town Square with Chasing Cinema.
Mr. James Shoe.com,
and it's one of my favorite times of the year with you, my man.
My favorite video of the year every time we do it. The best way to look back at 2018 and begin 2019 is to reflect on the year and name our top 10 films of all time. However, there is usually the caveat, if you can't come up with 10 films, sometimes you don't always do a full 10. Does Mr. Shoe have a full top 10 tonight?
Couldn't find 10 movies that I loved, but I did have a ridiculous amount of movies that I really thought were great movies.
Yes.
And I enjoyed them, and I'll recommend them, and I'll watch them again. But I feel
you felt like you were canning them into the top 10.
I did. I feel like if I talk about this movie in this prestigious Chasing Cinema list,
yes,
it needs to be movies that I feel like if someone's like, should I watch this? I'm like, whoosh, you absolutely need to watch this, you know what I mean? There's no question.
Absolutely. And another fun thing we always do before we begin naming off our top 10 films of the year, or top 10 and however many you have.
8 this year.
8 this year, is we always guess how many movies we're gonna have similar.
Yep.
Usually we have at least 3 is usually kind of our game number. I'm thinking 3 this year.
I'm saying 4. There's 4 movies that I would be shocked actually if you wouldn't feel the same way, because I feel like I've been able to clay you and morph you into a better.
Oh, is that what it is?
I feel like that, and I feel that with time now, with us doing this together for how long?
Since 2012. So
a good solid 7 years. That I feel good on 4, bro.
Okay.
I feel 4 out of my 8, which is 50%, which is
a lot. That is a lot. So let's see if you're right or wrong. My number 10 movie of 2018. You have any guesses? You want to take a quick guess?
It's too soon.
Okay.
Yeah, too soon.
My number 10 is Mission Impossible Fallout.
Okay.
The one movie this year that kind of really reminded us that blockbuster is not a bad word, right? It's not a 4-letter word. We can have really, really great blockbuster movies that are packed with action and still manage to be really solid films. I think Mission Impossible manages to be one of the only franchises that continually gets better. And I don't know if that's because Tom Cruise is like a fine wine, just gets better with age.
He does, bro.
He does. It's insane, and I mean, Mission Impossible Fallout was just such a blast from start to finish. I mean, you have Henry Cavill, who plays a great villain in the movie.
Yeah, mustache gate.
Yeah, and you have the arm cocking, which has became a huge thing this year. The arms reloading. I mean, overall, just a really, really solid. I mean, the set pieces in that movie, from the helicopter chase to the bike chase in the city, all of these really, really great set pieces, and the like non-stop great action from start to finish, easily had to be in my top 10 and my favorite Mission Impossible movie yet. So,
out of all of
them.
6?
6.
Yeah, out of the 6.
Yeah, it has to be my favorite just because everything comes together so well. It's beautifully shot, and like I said, the older Tom Cruise gets, I think the more that I'm just more fascinated by him.
He's crazy, and then now he's filming the new Top Gun film.
Yes.
And then he was, whether it was like 50% or 75% into the filming.
Yeah.
He said, guys, shut it down, because if we're gonna film scenes with me in
a
stealth jet.
Yes.
Then I need to be flying that. So he stopped production just to learn how to do. What an animal, bro.
The most dedicated guy making movies. I mean, I'm sure in the next one, because it's got to get bigger, he's gonna figure out how to
space.
Yeah,
Mission Impossible.
Yeah,
no joke.
He's like,
he has
guys,
to.
I really need to go to Mars myself.
He needs to somehow get to space. Which I wonder if Bruce Willis and Tom Cruise would get along, because you know how everyone says that Bruce Willis just walks through films.
Yeah.
And then you have Tom Cruise, this guy. I wonder if they would get along.
Who cares to learn every aspect? Yeah.
Tom Cruise. Bruce Willis needs to make a movie with Vin Diesel, and then Tom Cruise needs to make a movie with The Rock.
Yeah. I would like to see Tom Cruise work with The Rock or Vin Diesel and see if he could elevate their performances on their side. Not that I have much complained about The Rock, but Vin Diesel for sure needs the help.
Holla back.
My number 9 movie of the year is going to be one that came out way earlier this year, and one that might not have ended up on this list until I did some reviewing and rethinking this past week. This is a bit late. We usually release this on the first of the year.
I know what you're gonna say.
I am sick. Do you?
I think so.
Okay. Well, let me know I'll believe if you were lying or not.
I'll say it first before you say it. Let me know when you're ready.
When I was sick, but over the week, I spent every minute I could looking over this list and making sure it was perfect. So my number 9 is...
A Quiet Place.
No,
Oh.
it's Annihilation. One of the most harrowing movies of 2018, but not the most harrowing because we're gonna revisit that verb a lot throughout this year's list. Annihilation was a movie that really, really just made my skin crawl. It was one of the few movies I've ever seen that actually gave me a nightmare the following evening. Now, not in the terms of like, oh, I was so scared, but the idea of, and I don't mean that in like the terms of to keep my pride, but it was like the idea that we could be somewhere and losing time and space and not knowing when and where you are, I think is one of the most haunting things of that movie, and it really communicates that well. A group of 4 women, 4 kick-ass scientists that go into the world of unknown. The latest sci-fi movies from Alex Garland, who gave us Ex Machina, which I also really loved. A very quiet but very, very wide-scoped, intense movie that really kind of has us looking at ourselves almost like in a mirror without saying anything too cheeky. But it gets very, very intense, and then obviously brings us to one of the most puzzling but fascinating conclusions of the entire year. I absolutely love this movie. I think
I got lost right there.
Yeah? That's where you got
That's
put
where I was just like, yeah. But anyway, please.
Well, I will say, like,
but I love Natalie Portman.
For me, it was just the idea of some of these things that really kind of made it a movie that I never stopped thinking about. I want to say this movie was either in February or March. It was really early on in the year. And the idea that a creature that ate a person, when it roars, it yells, it gives you their scream, I just think is such a daunting image. And it was. I mean, it was awfully horrifying in the movie. The idea of all these characters going through these different manipulations with their self. I mean, just really, really fascinating stuff. Yet it never kind of, while of course it talks about really like scientific and hard to understand things, it never kind of bridges that gap until the ending where you're just kind of like really puzzled, and I think that's kind of part of the idea that he wants you to have. So a really, really great film from Alex Garland. I'm excited to see what else he brings. He's, I think, one of the better sci-fi filmmakers that we still have. Yeah, it's hard not to get that movie out of your head. So
Annihilation. Huh? It was on Barack Obama's list, I believe, also for his top.
Yeah. Barack Obama, who has amazing taste in film. I mean, his list was actually very, very impressive.
I was actually kind of disappointed in myself that I think 3/4 of the movies that were on his list I didn't even see.
Yeah. Well,
and there was a few of them I didn't even hear of, which for me I was kind of like, it's kind of what do I do, you know?
It is crazy just how many movies come out not in the mass audience. Not every movie is always at every theater of yours. Figure out what small cinema you have in your hometown or in Vegas, like Village Square, or any of these other places, and see where you could find these smaller niche films. AMC Town Square is a great one that they have a lot of foreign stuff. Yeah. A lot of movies that you don't normally get to see in the wider market. So try to find that theater in your town, and then try to find stuff that you'll never maybe even heard of. But yeah, Annihilation was that movie for me this year. A movie that I had no idea going into it that it was going to haunt me for the rest of the year. And like I said earlier, harrowing is going to be a key term that we're going to be using throughout my list, because let me tell you, if anything, 2018 was quite scary.
Now I'm in.
Yeah, you're in.
Now I'm in, homie.
Okay, I'm going to take a sip of water and just wait and listen.
Okay, so now we're on number 8. Now I get to come into the play.
I love it.
My number 8 film of the year is the same movie, or same month of the movie you just said, and it's one I thought you were about to say. It was A Quiet Place.
Okay.
Great movie. Love the movie. Almost no dialogue, and to create such a film where I was tense, and the whole time I'm watching, I'm just like, wow, you know. And I'm already mesmerized by Emily Blunt. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman, and her husband John Krasinski directed and filmed in this movie.
Wrote this movie, I believe, on a plane.
On an airplane, yes, on the way.
And his wife was like, I'm in this
movie, yeah. I heard that
cool
too.
Story.
And yeah, I loved the movie. It was awesome. And then have you seen Bird Box?
No.
Okay, so I watched Bird Box and I wanted it to make my top 10.
Yeah.
I didn't.
Okay.
But I enjoyed Bird Box. And a lot of people were saying that Bird Box and A Quiet Place kind of is very similar. But for those people who do say that and are saying that it's a rip-off, Bird Box was first. But anyway, because it was a book first.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, Quiet Place was awesome. We are going to get a sequel to this movie. They haven't said if it's going to continue this existing story or if this is going to be another story in the same timeline or whatever. But
Yeah.
I'm excited about it. I enjoyed this movie a lot. There isn't much to say about the dialogue because there wasn't much.
Did you know going into the movie that it was going to be
No,
like
no
that
voice.
quiet?
No.
Yeah, no.
No.
Neither did I, because I went in blind. I knew it was John Krasinski. I knew it was supposed to be a horror movie, and I just remember hearing everyone shuffle with their snacks, and then all of a sudden everyone realized, like, damn, I can't eat this because you had to be so quiet.
Yeah.
One of the better experiences this year in the movie theaters for sure. I think the ending little trails off for me, kind of like you with Annihilation. But other than that, I was also really happy with Quiet Place. Definitely a movie to watch from last year.
Oh, okay. That means Chasing it didn't make his top 10. I think. I think that's what that means. So yeah, that's my number 8. Watch it.
My number 8 is a quieter movie, as she was pointing out, a movie that maybe not everyone got a chance to see, but we did review quite recently, and that was Can You Ever Forgive Me? A movie for any person who loves to read or who loves Melissa McCarthy, because if this movie proves anything, it's that Melissa McCarthy, with the right actor, the right story, or the right director, the right story,
not her husband,
can still be one of the best working actresses in the game today. I mean, she really delivers a great performance here. I don't think she'll walk away with the Oscar this year, unfortunately. Maybe a nom, though. I don't think the nom is out of the talks right now, because she really brings it here. And then after seeing these other films that we've seen her work in that always kind of seem somewhat disappointing, this really proves that she could really dive in and tell these really great stories. It's a movie full of wit, and as any avid reader knows, wit is one of the hardest things to kind of communicate outside of a book. It's this particular coldness behind humor. It's not quite humor, it's just the way that it's communicated. One of the authors that they focus on here in this movie is Dorothy Parker, who was the best at wit, and I think they actually communicate that element perfectly in this movie. Richard E. Grant, an actor who's been working probably now going on more than 30, 40 years, I would imagine, delivers one of my favorite performances of his, and I think a performance that will also get him a supporting nom. I don't think he'll win, but definitely deserves one. A great story, a great dramedy, a movie that is both hilarious, but also very mundane and kind of really makes you look at the possibilities of what happens when your dreams don't come true. A movie that I watched late, but really fell in love with. So that's my number 8 of the year.
That's awesome. You know, when I first started, like, I've always liked movies, but it was ever since because the movie premieres where I had the ability to watch many films.
Yes.
I really never understood when people said, "Oh, if da-da-da's in a movie, it's don't expect much because they always play any character the same way."
Yeah.
And the first time I ever heard that with what movie was that? The first time I ever heard that with, I forgot the actor. I heard that and I was just like, oh. And then now that when I watch Blake Lively in a movie, it's always Blake Lively. When I always see Tom Cruise now, it's Tom Cruise. And anyway, the whole point of what I'm trying to say is what you're saying is when it comes to Melissa McCarthy in comedies, it seems like it's always the same character she plays when it's comedies. It's raunchy, da-da-da. And so I'm glad you're saying this, and it makes me want to watch it just to see this other side of Melissa McCarthy that can't exist.
It's very rare that an actor, especially a well-established actor, especially when they're in the pop culture world, there are many actors who you've seen in 50 things that are so good, they don't really stand out enough for you to be like, oh, I know that actor. Mostly known as character actors. But here, Melissa McCarthy really disappears in the aura of Lee Israel and really kind of becomes this very uncharismatic character. But Melissa McCarthy has always been able to make these characters charismatic that aren't. And while Lee Israel kind of does follow some of the tropes that she's brought in some of her comedies, she really brings the emotion to life here. And I think that's why it was one of my favorites.
That's awesome. I love it. So now we are on number 7. Okay, my number 7 is going to be, would guarantee is going to be on your list. I would be shocked if it wasn't. My number 7 film of 2019 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Wow.
Too low for you, huh?
Yeah,
you're like, what is wrong with you, bro?
No spoilers, but I am shocked.
Yeah, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. Love the movie, and you've never seen animation like this. When Toy Story first came out from Pixar, before Disney took over. It was just Pixar. People were like, wow, this is what computer animation. And I don't know if you ever watched it. I'm pretty sure Kent watched it. There was a show on CBS Morning for kids called Reboot. Did you watch? You watched it? Okay.
Yeah.
That was computer animation too, and I was just like, this is the future of what things are gonna look like. And then, so when I saw, Spider-Man. So then, and Toy Story came out, and then everyone wanted to
replicate
and
that
look just like Pixar, which is fine, and it's still great, and I still love it. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse though, you never seen a movie like this. This was like seeing a comic book literally on film.
Yeah.
It was awesome. And they had all the tropes of a comic book. And if you are versed in Spider-Man, you'll understand the jokes. If you're not versed in Spider-Man, you'll still enjoy the movie. But if you do know Spider-Man, there's things like the dancing from Spider-Man
Absolutely.
And the backwards kiss, or I don't know if that's the right term, but the backwards kiss.
Upside down.
Upside down kiss, and then the holding the train. All that is just awesome, and it gave me this newfound love for Miles Morales I never knew existed, but he's an awesome character. I love Spider-Gwen. Give me more Spider-Gwen all day.
Haley Steinfeld.
And I love Haley Steinfeld's music.
Yeah, good.
And so Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, loved it. And number 7.
Number 7. I have a feeling we'll revisit that, so I won't say too much about that. My number 7 couldn't be the more opposite of Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse. It is a movie that has been revered all year long. It was a movie that got a lot of traction before it was released. It is Bradley Cooper's A Star is Born.
Great movie.
The word shallow alone can really justify why this movie is great, because it delivers one of the best soundtracks of the year. The song Shallow, which I'm pretty sure will win Best Song this year at the Oscars, was really well delivered. I mean, Bradley Cooper, I've never known him to be a singer, but man, does he deliver here as well. And that's that's not even talking about the performances or Bradley Cooper's ability to direct. Now, we've talked about it many times in our reviews that it's quite clever to choose a movie that is a property that's well known, been remade multiple times, and each time been remade, it has gotten success at the Oscars. But it won't be a surprise that this movie does well. I'm sure it'll get the Best Picture nom. They'll probably get actor and acting.
Can you see Gaga winning actress?
Right now, I think actress is kind of a toss-up. I can see it. Do I think it'll happen? I would be shocked. I don't think she gives, at least maybe just because she didn't give my favorite performance of the year from an actress. I think there are other examples of some really, really powerful stuff from other performers. To me, even walking out of that movie,
who did you like better as an actress
out of those
this year?
I'll get to it later on.
Okay.
If I don't, but I know I will. But there were some other great performances. Maybe that won't win Oscars, like in terms of what the Oscars will go with. Lady Gaga is a good choice, but there also are some other ones too. But to be honest, Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga weren't my favorite performances from this movie. It was actually from Sam Elliott.
Oh, yeah, Sam Elliott.
Sam Elliott delivered probably my favorite supporting actor performance I've seen this year. I definitely see him being nominated. I definitely see him even winning. He has a lifelong career in the movies, a staple, and he brings such heart and emotion to this movie. I remember both of us kind of having similar feelings. I think it's a very, very well-made movie. I think it's full of a lot of heart and emotion, sends you on a lot of, you go through a lot of feelings in this movie. And I think one of the most touching parts about it was really Sam Elliott and Bradley Cooper's relationship. Beyond that, just the soundtrack, the look of it, being able to see it in the Dolby here at AMC Town Square, which we were so lucky to have, really feels like you're kind of immersed into a concert. I mean, Bradley Cooper really showed his talents here, the arrival of a filmmaker. I'm excited to see what he does next. I'm excited to see him do an original movie, if that's going to be down the line or not, but overall, very, very happy with how this whole movie worked out. A very touching movie, but also very classic in terms of being a Hollywood heartbreaker. So,
love it. So that was number 7.
Yeah, my number 7. So you're number 6.
Number 6. My number 6 film of 2018, Creed 2.
Ooh.
Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Kicking his ass. I love it. Love it. All right, where do we start? So the first idea of Creed, I was like, I didn't have any thoughts because here I go again. Never seen Rocky 1, 2, or 3. And my first Rocky film is Rocky 4, and I loved it.
Yeah.
And so when they said that this is about Creed's son, I was like, okay, well, that does nothing for me. And then because of what we do. See, that's the problem, I think, a lot of people, because I know for a fact that, well, now the A-list exists. No, A-list has changed the game too. I know this is completely, okay, never mind. I'll just go back to what we're supposed to be talking about. Creed 2. The first Creed I thought was awesome. I really enjoyed it. In Creed 2, I enjoyed it just as
Ryan
much,
Coogler?
if not even more. Ryan Coogler of Black Panther fame, doing his thing. He didn't direct this one.
No.
I can't remember who.
Another filmmaker.
Love it. Yeah, I know it wasn't him though. And I thought he did a great job. I thought Sylvester Stallone was great. I thought Michael B. Jordan was great. I thought Tessa Thompson was great. And I thought Ivan Drago, our boy Dolph Lundgren was great. I thought that even the son, who they didn't use him for his lines,
Yes.
but they used him for his strength and his
Victor
appearance.
Drago, yep.
I just thought that this movie was awesome, and I thought it was awesome that I didn't leave saying. I knew that Michael B. Jordan would win. Hopefully that's not a spoiler. I knew they're not going to make him lose to a Russian. But what I appreciated about it was I was watching the movie thinking, oh no, I actually totally understand from the other side. He's not like a bad guy.
Yeah.
Victor Drago.
Victor Drago.
Yeah. Victor Drago's not. He was just he's representing his country.
He's going through his own thing.
Yeah, and I love perspective. I love it when movies show me perspective and make me realize that. It's not always what you think.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That movie for me got me pumped up, jacked up, gassed up, fired up, motivated, passionate, brand new way, and I loved it. Made me want to work on my body, and then here I am drinking a Coke.
My number 6 of 2018 actually has an interesting connection because Creed 1 was directed by Ryan Coogler.
Ooh, Black Panther.
My number 6 was directed by Ryan Coogler, and that's right, sir. The movie that broke Marvel's mold, Black Panther. One of the most exciting movies of the year, came out in February and completely changed the game. After 17 Marvel movies that felt very, very similar, Black Panther came and arrived and just completely shook everything up. In terms of scope, it was smaller. It wasn't about the world ending. It was about what is happening to Wakanda. Great performances. They managed to deliver 3 kick-ass female heroes before Marvel was able to do it on their own. I mean, this one movie introduced 3, which was 2 more than what Marvel had been able to introduce. With Lupita Nyong'o, who played this great advocate, this person who is trying to do good, and you have his sister, who is the smartest, what they're saying is the smartest character now
Smarter
in the
than
MCU.
Robert Downey Jr.
And then
Or
you have the
Tony Stark.
warrior from The Walking Dead. I'm spacing her name right now and it's killing me, but she plays this really great, just totally gritty badass. And I mean, all of that
Something, the
alone.
Melage.
Yeah. I mean, it was really, really good, and a story that just felt different. One of the few times that the Marvel villain actually really shines.
Michael B. Jordan.
Michael B. Jordan, who plays Killmonger, gives a really heartfelt, angry, driven performance. There is something really beautiful about being in. I don't necessarily remember the name, but the other place, we'll call it, that they visit, this very spiritual place, being compared to Wakanda and then being contrasted to 1990s Oakland. I mean, those 3 comparisons of looks are really hard to capture, and they all 3 feel very authentic and true, and being able to see these comparisons really take you through this character's journey, and I mean, I loved it. I ate that movie up. It's got message, it's got meaning, it has, it feels like it has weight because it has a purpose, but it's not soapbox either. It's not telling you this is what this movie is and this is what this is trying to say. As while some people are claiming that Black Panther is this kind of soapbox movie, it's the complete opposite. It's a movie that brings you adventure and fun and action, but also has a message that's whipped in there that tells you some really great stuff.
That scene when they go to Korea, bro. That whole scene,
Yeah.
got me jacked, bro.
Oh man, I mean, there were so many good things in that movie, so many great parts that it's hard to look at that movie and not see it stand above most of the other Marvel movies. So I'm always shocked when a superhero movie ends up on my list. They rarely do, but this one was definitely gonna be on there from the moment I saw it back in February.
I love it.
All right, sir, now we're gonna move on to your number 5.
All right, my number 5, you've already mentioned it, is A Star Is Born.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I haven't seen the Barbra Streisand and I haven't seen the other 2 versions before or prior after that, so I have nothing to base this on. I watched it, and when I watched it, all I saw was myself. That's all I saw.
Yeah?
Yeah, because
As Lady Gaga?
Oh no, I haven't made it. Bradley Cooper already made it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, so I was like, I'm not just looking at Lady Gaga, and then it gets me jacked up because it's always, and that's why it's why Creed 2 is on my list too, because it's always about. I love the idea of people going out and building business, or in this scenario, your music career, or in this scenario, a fighting career, or it doesn't matter what it is. I just love the idea of
making your dreams come true.
I love it, and I love the people who. If things don't work out the way you want, you just keep on going, and that's what A Star Is Born is.
Yeah.
It's like Lady Gaga's like doing all these. It was a drag. Sorry, it was a drag show, and then she's just like, I can make it, but she's doing what she has to do to make money right now, and she doesn't mind it or anything, but she's just doing her thing, and then she finally makes it, and I know it's a movie, and I don't care. Got me jacked either way. So, Star Is Born was number what? 5.
My number 5 is First Reformed, the jaw-dropping thriller from Paul Schrader.
What movie?
First Reformed. First Reformed, I'm going to tell you about it, you'll remember, because it is the very well-praised movie which stars Ethan Hawke as a pastor.
Oh yeah, and I keep on asking. Oh yeah, sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So this is a movie that really, really wowed me. It was another movie that I didn't get to see when it came out. I was in Ohio or Buffalo, one of the two, when it came out, so I saw it really late. But I was going in expecting, a lot of people are comparing it to Taxi Driver, where I could see the comparison, but in my head, that made me think that this movie was pretty much Ethan Hawke as this pastor who goes crazy and starts killing people. And that's not the case at all. This really is about a movie about a person who is looking out at the world that he doesn't necessarily feel connected to, but feels impulsed and moved to do something about what he sees. And I won't say specifically what he's gonna do about it, but what was interesting and what I didn't see coming out of this movie is that it has this whole subplot about environmentalism and about how we treat the earth and all that stuff. And I'm not saying it's a preachy movie about, preachy about climate change or anything like that, though obviously it does have its say.
But there is preachiness.
What kind of throws this very, trying to choose my words carefully here, this very conflicted person into this kind of dwindling fate is this conversation about the environment. It's gruesome. It's a movie that like, I love the idea, like how you were saying, it has like one of the recurring themes of your movies is making it, right? I love the idea of comparing and contrasting some of the most gruesome things or some of the more hard-hitting images with something that feels very easily digestible. And I know that might not sound like a great analogy, but Oakland in the 90s to the Wakanda Special Place. In this movie, you have, in one scene, a very gruesome death, and then you have a preacher standing on an all-white old church. There are very intense emotions that you go through being able to go from a scene where there's blood all over the floor to a person standing in front of a choir. There are those very conflicting images. I think Ethan Hawke brings in one of the best performances of the year, a really, really strong male performance. I see him, as well as Bradley Cooper, being nominated for this movie. I mean, he does a really, really great job. Also, the movie isn't just, there's this one point in particular where the movie stops being grounded, and it takes this really, really big turn, almost cosmetic turn, and you are taken into kind of this new world. And Paul Schrader, who is not a super, super famous filmmaker, not like Martin Scorsese or some of the names we've been mentioning, but a filmmaker that really, really kind of gets this craft here and really tells this arch perfectly. I think my favorite movie the filmmaker has ever done, and I think it's a thriller. It's a movie that will have you holding your breath, having you in pain, and make you go through the motions. And at the end of the day, the great thing about movies, the reason why I fell in love with movies, is because they teach you how to live in other people's shoes. They teach you empathy. I've never looked at movies as just an escape, which most people say. For me, it taught me how to feel for other human beings and to connect to people that I will never have anything in common with. And this was a perfect example.
They say that the idea of being likable, Ethan Hawke.
Mission Impossible.
Ethan Hawke. I'm so mad that he said about the superheroes. You know that?
Yeah.
And how he's like, it's like for dumb people, and he didn't say those words.
Yeah, you're paraphrasing.
But God, and it just turned me off from him.
Really?
Yeah, because it's like, I was that guy too, or at least I feel like I was that guy where I only watched blockbusters at the beginning. I'm sure you've seen this transformation in me.
Yeah.
Where now I'm like, I watch all types of movies, and right before this, I was watching the movie with the kindergartner.
Oh, the kindergarten teacher?
Yeah, I was right before
Yes.
that. I was watching Maggie Gyllenhaal. No,
Oh, okay. The kindergarten teacher, right? Is what you're talking about?
yeah. I was watching this and I never would have watched that movie like that before. But anyway, it's like, God, why did he say that? But I don't doubt this movie's good. A lot of people are saying that he's going to get a Best Actor nom, and it does make me want to watch it. But I wish he just didn't. And
I will say this.
way.
I will say this in their defense. You know, it's easy. Sometimes it's easy to say something off the cuff in an interview, especially when you're doing like 10 a day. You know, things just kind of come out. And while it is a broad generalization, I think it was more defending the kind of art house medium with a movie like First Reformed. You know, he's trying to target that audience that this movie is more than just your average blockbuster. I get it. We are at a time now, like with movies like Mission Impossible, where blockbusters aren't just these big explosions. They can have depth and stuff like that, but there is still the need for the art house to kind of really take us out of our comfort zone. So hopefully, you know, he didn't necessarily mean it to be so brash, and, you know, we'll see him in a superhero movie in the next couple of years and he'll change his tone.
Maybe. Number 4.
Yes, you're number 4, right?
My number 4 of the year 2018, I believe, is Kent Wong's number 1 film of the year, Ready Player One.
Ready Player One.
Dog, this movie got me jacked.
Wow.
Like, it got me jacked, bro. And I'm pretty sure it didn't even make your top 10. But nostalgia all over this movie. I love seeing the DeLorean. I love seeing the T-Rex. I love the idea that... not the post-apocalyptic war part. I just love the idea that they were able to make an infrastructure of this world that you're able to go in and just do your thing. I love the idea, you know, and also because I love video games too, you know. So it's like that is the next evolution of video games, is, you know, the VR and stuff like that. That is the next evolution. So yeah, it got me jacked up and I loved it.
In general, not even video games. VR is going to take over a lot of mediums.
Yeah, so, I'm sure movies will be in. They'll
TV,
make. Yep. Yeah.
Wow.
Ready Player One.
I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, Ready Player One got me jacked, bro. I loved it. Yeah,
I will say that shining sequence is.
It was awesome.
That's my favorite part of the whole movie.
Yeah, it was awesome. That movie was so much fun. I'm sad that there won't be sequels. You know, it didn't do well at the box office. Steven Spielberg did his thing. Nostalgia all over it. Loved it.
My number 4 is something we've already discussed. Big surprise. It is Creed 2. A movie that I walked into actually thinking wasn't going to be good. After hearing that Ryan Coogler had passed in the movie, letting Sylvester Stallone take a little bit more control of the movie, the idea that we're going to bring back Ivan Drago, like all of these things, while sounds fun in the moment, in reality doesn't make for a good movie. And boy, was I wrong. While I rarely am wrong, I will admit it when I am. And this for sure was an instance of that. Because let me tell you, Creed 2 had to be one of the most fun experiences I've had all year at the movies, because it brought us back to that fundamental experience watching Rocky. This movie made you root for the underdog after every punch was thrown. It had a character that we believed in, that we saw was going through triumphs and tribulations, and seeing Michael B. Jordan's evolution in this movie really just stood out to me. You hit the nail on the head earlier. There is so much in this movie, so many different storylines, so many different perspectives. Every character is struggling with their own issues, and we never dive fully into them or try to resolve all of them at once with a big bow at the end. You know, all these characters are dealt with these circumstances, and they have to deal with them in their own way. And that makes this one of the most humane movies I've seen all year. A truly just good-hearted movie about, you know, redemption in terms of, you know, you could always say sorry. Redemption in terms of coming from the bottom and coming back to the top, something that goes right up your alley. I mean, there's so much here and so much to digest that it's hard not to love it. It was one of the few movies that I saw multiple times in theaters this year, but I made it a point to see it multiple times because I thought it was such a thrilling experience. A movie that you could really cheer and root for. That really captures the spirit of the original Rocky.
Love it.
Things are getting serious, ladies and gentlemen. We are now in the top 3s.
Bum, bum, bum.
Yes.
Oh, I got to read
and
it.
as of honestly, right now, I have no idea where you're going.
Good. All right, my number 3 film of 2018. Hold on, sorry, because I don't want to mess it up.
Don't mess it up.
My number 3 film of 2018 is Infinity War.
Okay.
Yeah. Culmination of 10 years of Marvel, 20 films, and for me, this would have been what Justice League should have been. And instead of Thanos, it's Doomsday, and it's just all out. Everyone has to go against him. Instead, we got BVS, moving on, move forward very quickly. Instead, we got Justice League, moving on, move forward very quickly. This, I don't know. For me, this movie was honestly, it was perfect.
Wow.
There wasn't much I don't like.
Really?
Yeah.
I don't remember you like hyping that
There
up
wasn't
like
much
that.
about
Yeah?
this movie I didn't like, bro.
Wow.
If anything, like I just loved every element. The story has to go from space to this, to this, this. I thought it all
There's a lot
worked
going
out.
on.
Yeah, I thought it worked out so well. It got me so jacked. I thought Thanos was the greatest Marvel villain that they've had up to this point.
He's pretty good.
You know, I don't know who was better.
He was my favorite part about the whole movie.
See, I don't know who's better out of the 20. His logic, while very not good, killing half the world is. I understand.
No.
I understand his thinking.
Yeah.
From his there's just too much stuff going on, so we gotta kill everybody. Not the killing part, just yeah. And I just thought this movie was so good. The Iron Man, Spider-Man perspective, that side, then the Thor part, and then when Thor came out, and then I love the Groot scene where he cut off his arm to give it to the handle for the battle axe, or that's not the name of it.
I know you're gonna upset all the
Yeah,
people.
sorry. I just thought there was just so, and then the Rocket
and the
Raccoon.
really large Peter Dinklage.
Yeah, I thought that was hilarious. Honestly, we could go through this whole movie, and I'm just like, yep, loved it. Love that part. Love that part. Love the part. And it was the perfect tee up for Endgame. I think Endgame is gonna be just insane, bro. It'll be an all out. Because in this one, you didn't really see Thanos had to fight one team and then come to Wakanda and then fight the other team.
Never together.
Endgame, it's literally going to be
The joining of forces.
All 20 some odd.
It's going to be the best wide shot you've seen in a Marvel movie.
Ever. And it's going to be amazing. And
Which is cool
wait.
because every kid, either DC or Marvel, has had that poster where they're all standing there. So now we'll actually have a live action version.
To actually finally see it. Because when we first saw the Avengers in that one circle in the first Avengers, everyone was just like,
yeah, that was a badass movie.
This one's gonna finally give us the one scene where literally every single of these mother effers are like trying to kill Thanos, and he is just destroying them. And I just can't wait. But anyway, Infinity War, loved it so much, bro. Loved it so much. Top 3 right there, 2018, baby boy.
Wow. My number 3 is probably the opposite of Avengers. It is a movie that brings back that theme of harrowing and daunting and terrifying and disturbing all at once. And it was a movie that I also missed when it came out in theaters because I was in Ohio or Buffalo, and that is Hereditary. Let me tell you, man, Hereditary.
I need to watch this. Huh?
My God.
People are saying it's awesome.
So let's talk about this movie, right? Toni Collette. An actress that has been around quite a long time, maybe not the most mainstream actress. Probably my favorite performance of the year right now.
From a female.
Yes. I did watch it more recently, so it is kind of just like in my head, but let me tell you, one of my favorite movies, of course, of the year, top 3, it needed to be here because this movie had my jaw dropping, it had me terrified, I had to sleep with the lights on. I mean, this movie is insane. I think it is super, super meticulous. I think it's a great storytelling movie that really kind of uses symbolism in a really great way. Toni Collette is a miniature creator. She creates like miniature models of the world that she lives, and that's how she creates art. Only to find out that in a not so similar way, that Toni Collette and her whole family is just kind of being dolled around themselves in like this dollhouse. Some of the most disturbing and terrifying images I've seen on screen this year. A movie that really just takes you turn. I mean, you can never really put your fingers on the pulse of this movie. I don't think it's a movie where you can be like, oh, it's about this. When most horror movies, you can be like, oh, it's about a killer escape room, for example, or whatever it may be. Hereditary is not easily explainable in terms of it's just one thing. But when it all comes together, it is a movie that is going to mess with your mind, much like Annihilation, but it's way more in your face. It is way more ruthless, and every performance in this movie is so good. The younger kids in this movie are great. But Toni Collette really is a gift to all of us, and she proves that here.
Tells everyone this is why I need my Oscar this year.
Let me tell you, there are scenes in which Toni Collette's character screams, but you can't hear it. It's inaudible. Like there's this experience that's happening where she could scream. She's visually screaming, and like the look of horror on her face is like burned into my head. I love this movie. I think it's a movie that will be hard to watch again because of just how intense it is, and like you have to sit down and be ready. Like I had to watch this by myself, make sure I had no distractions.
And it was here.
Yeah,
it was here.
And
I remember.
I mean, let me tell you, it was really.
We were
intense.
out of town that week.
No. You're getting this confused, but that's okay. But let me tell you, it is a movie that I absolutely loved. I could go on. I mean, it's a perfect movie that you could say like will give you everything that you want out of a great horror movie. It gives you the feeling of dread. There's plenty of blood to be shed.
There will be blood.
But there is also this really great, interesting way to tell a new horror movie story that's not filled with jump scares and stuff that we see sometimes in the lesser horror movies. I mean, it is a really complicated movie that deserves to be praised, and I'm glad to see it on all these lists that it's on.
Love it. Yeah, everyone's been talking about it, and specifically Toni Collette.
Yes.
All right, that's top 3 right there.
That's top 3.
Number 2 for me. If this one for you doesn't make your top 2, I guess now, right?
Yeah.
Then we only have 3 probably,
Yeah.
I assume. Solo, A Star Wars Story. This movie, dude. Okay, so if you don't know at this point, I've never seen Star Wars 4, 5, 6. New
5
Hope,
dislikes right there.
Yeah, A New Hope, Return of the Jedi, and Empire Strikes Back. So I don't have the love that everyone else has for Han Solo. We got a taste of Han Solo in episode 7.
Yep.
And I thought, and this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Oh, it's Harrison Ford.
Yeah.
You know, it's Harrison Ford being Harrison Ford. You know, and so I never had this love for him, but I know that there's like a lot of nostalgia. I know there's a lot of history. I know there's a lot of mystery. There's a lot of comic books. There's a lot of.
This is a character people have been dressing up as for 40 years. I mean, there's a lot of developed love for this character for sure.
And so I've been watching a lot of YouTubers' favorite top 10s and most hated top 10s, and this movie's been on a lot of people's hated. For me, number 2 film of the year, dude.
Wow.
This movie was, I had so much fun. The only complaint I had about this movie, which is it's a complaint, is the movie's so dark. And I'm not talking about like negative
Intense,
themes, it's
yeah.
just like dark. It's like, can you put the opacity up a little bit or something? Like, I don't understand. I don't know what that part was. Because it could have been brighter and you could have still told me it was a dark world. I'll still believe you, dude. Okay, I want to see the actor. But anyway, yeah, this movie was so much fun for me. And I know a lot of the criticism, like, he would never, his name's Solo because he's by himself and it's by an Imperial Guard. He would never allow an Imperial Guard to, like, stuff.
Is that what the Star Wars?
Yeah, that stuff ain't with me. And then the stuff about, like.
You know there are people there like, oh, the guy who hasn't seen 4, 5, and 6
Yeah.
is going to tell me about
Exactly.
So
That's something bothered me. And then you know how the dice, now I have one on my car, gets me jacked up every time I see it. And he's a winner. There's love in the story. So there's elements of this movie. So the elements of me, right? There has to be a love story, and it has to be someone who's poor going up to be great. And, you know, I really enjoyed this movie. Darth Maul at the very end,
Spoiler.
calling his lightsaber.
Yeah.
Thank you. No need for that. Because if you're on a video call with someone, right? So if I'm on a video call with you, and you're like, James, and you're her, right?
Yeah.
James, I'm coming over. I'm like, look, and then I had to open my lightsaber too. Okay, that doesn't make sense. Yeah. Why you would do that makes no sense. But to add a lightsaber, I guess. But overall, even the bad guy was awesome. Vision.
Yeah.
Paul Bentley. Paul Bentley was awesome. I really, not really. I loved this movie. Solo, A Star Wars Story, number 2.
So Solo was on my top 10 for a long time.
And then you dumped him.
And then I traded it out for Mission Impossible.
Oh, okay. That's fair.
But a movie that does not deserve to be in the hate category in any conversation. There is really good stuff in that movie. And to be honest, the one movie that I'm like, man, I would really like to go back and revisit has been Solo. My number 2 of the year was a movie that was also previously mentioned.
I'm sure I was. Oh, okay. I guess I have seen it.
Yes, you have seen it. Not only have you seen it, it's on your list. It's Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Couldn't make it into the
Let me tell you that this movie may be one of the most great. I know experience has come up a lot this year, and it's not going to be done because I'm going to talk about it my number 1 too. But Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, I thought I was going to have fun with. I thought I was going to like, and I did. But it was a movie, like Shu said, gave me something that we've never seen before. The art direction, the style, the incredible things that this movie did were things that I've not seen before. And to say that we sit in a movie theater for the past 7 years now, 50 times a week at least, or 50 weeks per year at least, to see something we've not seen before,
it's crazy.
Is insane. You know, and it's not like this is we only watch new stuff too. When we're not at the movies, we're watching stuff from the old days or whatever it may be. We're always texting each other about what we're watching, and to see something that you've never seen before is such an experience and it's such a thrill that it was impossible for me not to put this movie on my top 2 because it really gave me so much new things to digest. Like you said, there are visual Easter eggs all over this movie. There are in-your-face Easter eggs and cameos and jokes about other Spider-Man films, but it's not as dependent as some of these other films have been before. Like I would say Batman Lego Movie has a lot of jokes about the other Batman movies, which I love, of course, being a Batman fan. But Spider-Man is so focused on the new and telling this new story that it doesn't they don't use it as a crutch, if you will. Seeing characters that we originally saw in that vein, and then being able to see them kind of almost closely come to life in the original shape or way that we want to see them. Kingpin is my main example. We've seen Kingpin now in life form in Netflix's Daredevil series, but that wasn't the Kingpin that I knew growing up. That wasn't the Kingpin that scared me, right? It is this Kingpin that they made that is ginormous and huge and bigger than the truck that he drives. I mean, it is these larger than life circumstances and characters that this movie is able to bring what feels as close to reality as possible. Well, I, as much as the next guy, will tell you that seeing superheroes in real life is really great, and seeing these characters kind of in real flesh and blood is awesome. It's that there is that line there that once they cross, that we're in this warmer reality, that it takes away kind of the magic and like beauty that comics gave us as a kid, that anything could happen. And in this movie, all that just kind of came right back rushing in. I mean, Kingpin and Miles Spider-Man Morales fighting on a subway, going through different dimensions of time, isn't something that I think could easily be done in live action, where in this movie we get the best second possible option. And I don't mean to call it a second as in below live action, but it's going to be the closest thing that blends all of those things together, and I loved it. I mean, that fighting sequence I've talked about for weeks and weeks and weeks, because I mean, the whole world is going around about them, and they're just so focused on each other. And then, of course, you get introductions to all the other Spider-Man characters. You have Nicolas Cage.
Dude, Noir Spider-Man, bro, was a whole nother
Which
level.
may be one of my favorite things out of 2018.
Yeah, Noir Spider-Man's crazy.
You got to see Doc Ock in a different light.
And he gets to play crazy Nick Cage, which is great.
And you see Doc Ock in a different light. If you haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, because that was one of my favorite parts in the movie.
Awesome.
Is when that character is revealed. You know, I've always been a diehard Batman fan, but Spider-Man has always had a very a place in my heart, because that was the game that I played growing up.
90s
animated show.
Did you watch?
Yes, I did, which was awesome. That was actually on the Super Nintendo. That was the same theme song that would get stuck in my head, and that was the Spider-Man theme song for the game too.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and oddly enough, this year, which is a little bit off topic, but in the beginning of the year, I pulled out my Super Nintendo and I beat that Spider-Man game with, like, you can't save in that game, so you have to beat it in the sitting. Then I played the Spider-Man that came out when Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man came out on the GameCube, and I beat that in a run. And then the new PS4 Spider-Man came out, and I also played that. Haven't beaten it yet, but I'll get there. Yeah. So it just felt like Spider-Man had some meaning in my year of 2018, and this movie tops it all.
Okay,
up.
but
I mean,
hey,
phenomenal.
for real, you wouldn't say better than Batman, Master Fantastic.
No.
Okay, I just thought.
No.
Okay,
no.
we're still friends.
But I would say Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse did exactly what Batman Mask of Phantasm did. It showed us that cartoons always have to look a certain way, that they could push the boundaries of what a kid's animated movie should be. Spider-Man does the same thing, only it pushes the realm of what we know as computer animation. It says we don't have to live in these realms of reality. While we have seen a lot of animated movies, they always tend to be, with some exceptions obviously, they're in kind of a realistic world, where this movie just, again, stretches the realms of reality, and we really get to kind of go in the magic that we get out of a comic book. And I think that alone is that spirit is just kind of what put a smile on my face, and I saw the movie multiple times again, and I've been talking about it ever since.
The depressing part about this is it's on both of our top 10s.
Yeah.
So it basically, all I'm trying to say is it's a great movie. It's an amazing movie. Love the
Absolutely.
movie. But what's sad is, one, it's not doing well in the box office, which is such a shame, because it's like, this is like such a good movie. And then I wanted to go on to Bumblebee, which didn't make either of ours. I didn't even see Bumblebee, bro.
I didn't see Bumblebee either.
And that has a 93 on Rotten Tomatoes.
It's the highest rated Transformers movie.
Unheard of. Because all the other
By
ones are
far.
rotten. Yeah, they're not even just like sub 70s or 80s.
This is the only
they're
fresh.
all rotten.
Yeah, in the different. Yeah, it's insane.
This one's not even fresh. It's like, top tier 90%, which movies in general don't do that typically, or else anyway.
Well, if we do have any saving grace, and if you do get anything out of this, however long video, I really implore you to watch Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, because it is well worth it.
So
but I get that, because there is this kind of, well, while the superheroes are everything right now, I still think superheroes movies are being watched by a lot of people who didn't start comic books. They didn't start reading comic books. They just fell into it. They fell in love with it. They read the Wikipedia pages. Maybe they got a graphic novel or two after the movies came out, and they fell in love with them now. But they didn't start as a kid hiding under the covers, finishing the comic book before when you should have been in bed. And I think that is kind of what Spider-Verse captures for me, that feeling of being a kid reading a comic book, where I think for a lot of people who love Marvel now, or the kids growing up who are loving the superhero movies, didn't start at a comic book. They started with Iron Man or Hulk or whatever it may be. And I think that might be a reason why some people are so hesitant to see this animated cartoon when we have a real Spider-Man. But you're gonna get the true heart of Stan Lee's Spider-Man and Into the Spider-Verse way more than you will in any of the live-action Spider-Mans. Now that's not to diss those movies, because I love Spider-Man 2 and I loved Homecoming, but Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse is what I would say is more an idea of what Stan Lee's vision was than any of those other films.
Isn't that the irony too? Because our favorite Batman of anything is Mask of the Phantasm, an animated film, and it does exactly what you just said. And
exactly.
Now, that's the irony.
It's nuts. All right, sir. And now
you still watching?
And now my favorite part of the evening, the number one movie on James Shu's list of the top 2018 films. What is your number one?
Well, should we do a countdown? We normally do a countdown, right?
We do normally do a countdown.
So
I got ahead of myself. I got a little excited. My number 10 was Mission Impossible Fallout. My number 9 was Annihilation.
Okay, real quick, my number 9 was going to be Black Panther. And you know what happened, I think? Civil War syndrome. You know how I gave Passengers that year, 2 years ago, number 10 or number 9 instead of Civil War? When I go back and watch Civil War, what a mistake.
What a huge mistake.
And I have a feeling I'm going to regret this about Black Panther.
Yeah, you will. So
but it was not my number 9, but I just didn't do it.
Because anyone who likes Passengers more than Civil War is a fool. Your number 8.
Quiet Place.
My number 8 is Can You Ever Forgive Me? Number 7?
Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, which is our first one that we agreed on.
A Star Is Born.
Number 6, Creed 2, number 2.
Black Panther.
My number 5 is A Star Is Born, our third one.
My number 5 is First Reformed.
My number 4 is Ready Player One.
My number 4 is Creed 2. I didn't see that coming.
My number 3 is Infinity War.
My number 3 is Hereditary.
You didn't see that either, right? Infinity War coming?
No. Well, I knew you liked it. I didn't think you liked it that much, though.
Number 2, Solo. Did you see that?
I did see that. I saw that coming. And it was supposed to be on mine, too. My number 2 is Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse.
Hey, so Chasing, what is my number 1, bro?
Honestly, right now,
I'll let you guess it.
and I should probably know this, but I don't. I mean, unless you're gonna hit me with like, I don't think you like Aquaman that much, right? Like you don't like Aquaman. I'm trying to think of a love movie you might have seen. Like I'm trying to think of what you might have seen that I'm
You know what
forgetting.
almost made my top 10? A movie called Midnight Sun that came out in like a dump month. It was like January, February. I really enjoyed that.
Really?
Yeah, but I didn't add it.
Should I know this?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
I would think so.
Enlighten us, Shu. What is your favorite movie of
My
2018?
favorite movie of 2018, of this year, of cinematic history of film. Didn't surprise me that this hit my number 1 at all. I was anticipating it. I wanted it. I knew I'd love it, and I did. Mission Impossible Fallout. Dude, these movies are getting better and better. We've already had this conversation. Number 1, great movie.
Great movie.
Number 2, badass. Come
Badass.
on. And which is
Who doesn't like?
hates it.
You don't trust the person who says they don't like Mission Impossible 2, because they really did. They're just lying to you.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And then part 3, Philip
Solid.
Seymour Hoffman, man. Number 4, Ghost Protocol. Dubai.
The return of the Mission Impossible.
Yeah. That's like when, because Jeremy Renner was supposed to actually take over
Yeah.
for Tom Cruise, and Tom Cruise said, "Hold my beer."
Nuh-uh.
He like Tom Brady, bro.
I'm Ethan Hunt.
He said, "Hold my beer," because this I ain't done.
So instead, Jeremy Renner took over the Bourne movies.
And he's out of that too. Look, he was supposed to take up 2 of those, and he's out on both.
Yeah, rough.
But rough is right. And then so after Ghost Protocol, number 5 was
Rogue Nation.
thank you.
Which is also amazing. We both love.
Amazing. And I mean, he's freaking literally outside of an airplane, like literally.
Dude's got help.
And then this
He
one,
needs
bro,
help.
you add Superman. You already got points with me on there. You added Superman. You already got points. Tom Cruise, and then you had the balls to give me Michelle Monaghan. Oh, giving it to me all, bro. That movie, I honestly cannot wait for the next one. I hope Christopher McQuarrie comes back, and I'm not kidding. They're literally gonna go to space.
I hope so.
You know Tom Cruise is somehow saying, we need to, you have to manually go to the satellite in space, and it needs to be manually done.
He's like, but I need to do this on my own, so I need to go to NASA for a few weeks to train.
Exactly. I love it.
Honestly, and it doesn't even shock me. I'd 100% believe it if Tom Cruise is like, I'm gonna go train at NASA for 5 weeks for Mission Impossible 6.
But this movie for me has massive repeat value. I can have this playing in the background and I'm happy. There's scenes on scenes, the fighting, the choreography, like
That bathroom fight in which we
come
get
on,
that
dog.
before that part, even though that part is like everyone's favorite, that bathroom sequence is phenomenal.
Amazing.
Phenomenal. For real. I'm with you.
Like,
So
that
we got
movie
three of the same.
4.
4.
And I said 4. It should have been 5 if I would have had, if you would have
Black
had Solo
Panther.
or Black Panther. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, that's my number 1 film of the year. If you haven't seen Mission Impossible, do yourself a freaking favor and
waiting.
watch that movie. Seriously, after we're done with this review, another 30 minutes, and then watch that movie because it's awesome. It will not let you down. I love it. Let it continue.
Yes. All right. Do you know what my number 1 is now or no?
You want to say Quiet Place?
No.
I want to say that, but it's not.
No. So it's not because you don't know. I just think you're simply forgetting because you should know. My number 1 continues that theme of being harrowing and disturbing. I don't know
Suspiria.
why.
Oh, Suspiria.
Dang, you
Suspiria.
spoil it like that. Ladies and gentlemen, my favorite movie of 2018 was the remake of Suspiria. If you would have told me when I was watching 50 Shades
Freed.
Darker, whatever
Oh.
it was.
No, 50 Shades Freed. How dare you.
That my favorite movie of 2018 was going to star Dakota Johnson, I probably would have laughed in your face. Not affecting her ability, but just because, like, obviously she has that role now. She's going to play in those kind of roles, and here she does justice. Suspiria was a very famous horror movie in the 70s, known for its like wacky, crazy color schemes and how it looked and all of that. And then my colleagues here, Mr. James Shu and Kent Wong, were out of town, and
that was the one.
Everyone came to see Bohemian Rhapsody, and I had to sit adjacent to that theater in Suspiria all by myself. And it was my favorite movie-going experience of all time. I know I said that a lot. I know I talked about a lot about experiences, and that's part of it. That's why we do this at the theater every week. That's why we're here. That's why we always invite you to premieres, because we know the best place to watch a movie is in the theater. And luckily, it was one of those rare experiences where I was in a theater all by myself, which made the movie even more terrifying. I also alluded to earlier that there is something I find really fascinating about contrasting something so beautiful, such as dance. Spirit revolves around a dance trope in the 70s, but also one of the most violent, intense, bloody, gruesome climaxes you will ever see in a movie. I mean, there is bloodshed and murder and craziness, and there are bodies laying everywhere. And I mean, it is the unbelievable contrast.
Is Suspiria and Hereditary very similar?
No.
Okay.
In terms
but
of
they're
like,
both horrors?
They're both horror films.
Okay.
That is the only two we have in common.
Okay.
And I want to say that this might be the first year. Well, actually, it's not true because Get Out was technically a horror movie. That was my favorite movie from last year. So horror's been on a run with me though.
And you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I enjoyed it a lot too. This was a movie in which 2.5 hours. I mean, 2.5 hours. 10:30. I was like, oh man, this might be a little bit wrong. And it was one of, I mean, I was so taken aback. I didn't even wait home to go film the review. If you watch the review, I'm in the stairwell just recording my thoughts because I had so many racing through my mind.
You were in by yourself.
By myself.
Yeah.
Not a single other soul in that movie theater.
In the middle.
And you don't appreciate surround sound until you're by yourself, because it kept feeling like people were running up the stairs, and I was like, the entire time. And that's not a lie.
We should have had a camera on you watching it.
Yeah, for real, because that would have gotten us a crazy amount of views. Because I'm telling you, I was so like invested in this movie. Tilda Swinton, 3 roles in this movie and kills all 3. I can't tell you about some of them, but I think there is some interesting stuff, kind of having her as one of the main teachers of this dance trope, and then having her as this other character who kind of plays the moral compass of the movie. But Dakota Johnson, man, was I like super impressed with her. Not that I thought just because she did 50 Shades she was a bad actress, but I just didn't know if she had the capabilities to go where she goes in this movie.
But she does.
She goes there. And I mean, I ate this movie up like, you know, like a
bucket of fried chicken.
Yeah, like a bucket of whatever you want to say it was, but
like a big bowl of pho.
And I've never been
like a big plate of fried rice.
Yeah. I've never been a
like a 50 ounce. I'm sorry.
I've never been one to really appreciate dance. Not that I don't care. I've just never learned enough to be like, oh, I can appreciate everything. This movie gave me some of the coolest dance choreography and some of the best dancing sequences.
In a
and
horror
I mean, mind you, it's not like hip hop dance. It's more like ballet dance or some. I don't know. That might not be the right term. But I mean, the costume design of this movie, the art direction. There's this political commentary, the social commentary in the background. Remember this in Berlin in the 70s, so it's a major political circle. There are themes about war. I mean, this movie really, really does it all. And I know this was a movie that didn't do super well because it was such a limited release and not a lot of people saw it. A lot of people don't even know what it is. Some of you, I'm sure, are Googling it as right now as we speak. But let me tell you, bar none, the best film of 2018. The moment I saw it, I knew it, and it hasn't moved since. It has never moved from my #1 spot.
Oh, you knew.
I knew. I mean, we talked about Spider-Man, and I kind of wanted to throw that in maybe to give you a little bit of surprise with Suspiria. From the moment I saw it, the moment that credits rolled, I knew that was going to be my favorite movie of the year, and a movie that I cannot wait to rewatch over and over again.
Is there any Oscar noms for
I don't know
Tilda
if
Swinton or anything like that?
I doubt Tilda Swinton, I doubt Dakota Johnson. Maybe art direction, maybe hair and makeup, maybe costume design. Okay. Beyond that,
Nothing,
I don't. Maybe the score and soundtrack, or the score was really, really great. I don't think so, though. I don't think the movie was seen widely enough. Because I still think, you know, and a lot of people argue this, that horror movies don't get the respect they deserve. Hereditary is an example of a movie that was at least pitched mainstream enough that a lot of people went and saw it. Some people weren't happy about it, like they were The Witch. Remember when The Witch came out and everyone's like, oh, I went and saw it, I didn't like it. It wasn't what I thought it was going to be. I love The Witch. Hereditary meets you more in the middle, where it isn't the traditional horror movie, but it is going to take you to this very crazy place, where Suspiria, it takes a little bit of taste to watch that movie. It takes a certain kind of understanding when you're watching that.
I will watch Hereditary now and Suspiria because of you.
You should.
I have to, because I got to see why this is top 3.
Top 3.
What the
Both of those are in top 3.
Yeah.
But I mean, Suspiria is a whole other level. And you know what? I'll say it. Sometimes remakes don't get their
Justice.
respect. they're referred to as. No, you don't worry about the 1970s Suspiria. Yes, it was good. Yes, it pushed boundaries, but this Suspiria is the one you should be talking about. This is the horror movie that you need to be conversing about. And if you've seen Hereditary and you liked it, I dare you to go a little bit farther into the unknown and watch Suspiria, my favorite movie of 2018.
Damn. How'd you feel about 2018 overall?
It was like in movies or in life. No, let me tell you. Let me tell you why.
This is
well, let's tell them why. Let's tell them why. Why would I talk about it as a year? Me and you had both very great endings of the year, if I will. I'm not sure if you want to be vocal about it, but at the end of the year, I graduated from UNLV, and then
there's a great video, by the way.
Yes, and that is on our channel, so make sure to check it out. And then 7 days later, it was Christmas Day, and I proposed to my girlfriend of 6 years. So 2018 for me was.
But luckily for him, I was a mentor to him, and I proposed to my girl first, and he said, "I gotta be like him."
He did. We're engagey brothers.
Yes.
But let me tell you, I mean, as far as movies go, I kept looking for the movie that was going to be the game changer, the movie that was going to really affect me, and they were in all the spots that I didn't think they were going to be. And I think that happens to us a lot. You know, we walk into these movies, we think, this will be fine. I didn't think Creed 2 was going to be on my list. I sure as hell didn't think Suspiria would be on my list, let alone number one. The great thing about movies and in general is that they still shock you. They still can be something that is marketed one way, you think it's going to be one, and all it takes is the masters of filmmakers to completely change everything, give you a whole new. I mean, I can't tell you how much I love Suspiria and how much I'm just so excited for the horror genre in general. And that's I think what the great thing is. I mean, there's a lot of great movies, and of course the sad part about it, which is always the truth, is you and I were at the movies 52, not necessarily consecutively, but we were here multiple times throughout the year, right? At least 50 times a week.
Yeah.
Sometimes multiple times in the week is what I meant to say. And we still didn't see probably half of the movies that came out in 2018. And there's so much more to still watch. There was films that...
there's hundreds of films.
There's tons of movies that I still need to see and watch that might have earned a spot in this list. So knowing that there are still movies out there that came out from this year that might have earned a place on this list out there excites me even more. There might be a movie better than Mission Impossible and Suspiria that we haven't seen yet, and it's hiding out there, and we just got to go find it.
100%.
And that is exactly why this website is called Chasing Cinema, because you're always on the chase, you're always looking. So, like every year, that's why 2018 was a great year for movies.
God damn, what an ending. I'm so excited also. What you said, bro?
Yeah.
No wonder why you're a writer. I'm so excited for 2019 too.
Me too. There's a lot of good stuff coming 2019.
They always do that to me.
Yeah. But okay, what are you looking forward to? Because normally what you are looking forward to isn't like, you know.
I agree. Off the top of my head, I'm expecting, just like how I expected Mission Impossible to be on my top 10, I'm expecting Lion King to be on my top 10. I'm expecting Aladdin to be on my top 10. The Quentin Tarantino movie, the new Quentin Tarantino movie with
Hollywood.
A Nightmare or a Day, or it's with Brad Pitt.
Once Upon a Time in Hollywood.
Yes, I'm expecting that to be great. I don't know if it's gonna be top 10, but I'm expecting. There's a movie with Brad Pitt also, where his dad is Tommy Lee Jones. It's a sci-fi. They're in, and his dad gets murdered or something in Neptune, and he has to find out why or what happened.
I'm in.
What the freak?
What about Bad Superman? The one that's like Superman's story, but if he was bad instead of good.
No, I'm gonna watch it and enjoy it, but no, not.
What about out of the Disney and Pixar? Oh, you already mentioned Lion King. Anything from any animated? Captain Marvel.
Oh, Captain Marvel. I'm expecting that to be great. I already know that I'm gonna love it because of Brie Larson. Endgame. That's a full.
Do we have a Star Wars next year?
Oh, Episode 9, bro. I'm expecting, and it's back to the original time, bro.
Yeah.
There was something about Star Wars at Christmas. I enjoyed that.
Yes.
I'm so glad that we have Episode 9.
And it specifically from both of us at least, every Star Wars movie that has come out since they were bought up by Disney has been on our lists.
Yeah.
So either yours or mine, if not both. I know Last Jedi was on mine for sure last year. I believe it was on yours too. So I mean, I've loved all of those. So I'm excited to see that. A lot of big stuff coming next year. Also, we're going to be doing some fun stuff with Chasing Cinema. I haven't decided on a challenge yet. But there is gonna be some sort of challenge that I'm gonna do. I'm gonna try to give myself something challenging to make myself watch more movies.
You better hurry up. We're already in day 3, bro.
Well, I'm thinking maybe along the lines of picking a director maybe every 3 months and then watching their entire filmography or something like that. Yeah, so that's kind of what I'm looking at right now. But there is going to be a movie that I watch every single week for the 52 weeks from a list that I got off Letterboxd. I don't want to say too much right now because I don't want to talk about this list without knowing the name of anything off the top of my head, but some kind of odd choices. And I'm also thinking about maybe once a month on Chasing Cinema, I'll pick a film, either new or old, and focus on it for a month and kind of write about it and do some videos on it and really kind of explore them. So we have a lot of exciting stuff coming in the new year.
I can't wait, bro. In 2019, it's gonna be awesome. Kent Wong behind the camera.
Always, Mr. Kent Wong, we want to thank you
Does a
for
fantastic
always
job.
doing a great job, making us look pretty every single week here at AMC Town Square. And guys, if that means that means that we're going to be here at AMC Town Square every single Thursday.
The
at
machine
10 o'clock
runs again.
To watch a movie.
And we're here tonight.
We want you to join us here at AMC Town Square every Thursday at 10 o'clock. Discounted tickets, great movies.
What are we watching tonight?
Tonight we're going to be watching Escape Room.
What are you expecting out of Escape Room?
The first movie of the year.
Nothing.
I don't know. Well, right now,
you love real life escape rooms.
I do love escape rooms, and right now, I believe it's at a 70 on Rotten Tomatoes, which is quite
solid.
They didn't screen it, but that might have been because it's actually really early and it was holiday week. So I don't know. Hopefully, we have something to look forward to. But that review will be up, so make sure to go check that out. And
if you're watching this, it's already out.
Yeah, it's already out because this will come out a little bit later than that review, probably.
That's true.
That is true.
Okay.
Maybe like by a day or so.
Oh, okay.
That's all. So yeah, top 10.
Another great year, dog.
Another great year.
You the man.
There's nothing more fun than watching movies with my friends every single week. Why not join us? Mr. Shu, I thank you for everything. It's always a pleasure to sit across from you and talk to you about movies. Mr. Wong, you are great at what you do. We always appreciate it. So,
ChasingCinema.com is known as
the Film Lovers website.